Hi there, my name is Louise Rogers. Welcome to the Active channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a glute training workout along with some posing practice towards the end. This is going to be a great show to watch if you're interested in competing, if you're interested in figure, fitness, bikini sort of training. So I'm at Studio One Gym in Aldershot and there's a lot of equipment here today. But as I say, our primary focus is glutes, a little bit of legs. So if you join me, we'll crack on with the first exercise. So the first exercise is going to be a glute bridge. Sometimes it's also called a hip thrust. I tend to do this on a Smith machine, but that's because I've got some problems or weakness in my lower back. But due to the room that we've got, I'm going to show you how to do it off the bench with an Olympic bar. Okay, so this is usually a little bit better to do if you've got a partner with you, because obviously you've got to lift the weight, and to be fair, your glutes can take a lot of weight. It's a big muscle. So for me, just using the Olympic bar is probably really not enough weight, but it's easy for me to lift up on my own. And also position myself too, because I'm going to balance the bar and position myself off the bench. So my upper back is resting on the bench. Now, got my legs apart, and all we're going to do is thrust up, hence the name hip thrust. Okay. So at the top of the movement, I'm just squeezing my glutes. As I say, for me, this is really light, but I can manage a good few plates on the end of it. This really targets your glutes. A lot of people just tell you to do squats, but for me, my quads are very dominant, so a lot of squats is just going to give me, let's balance it, going to give me very big legs. Okay, so you can see how this can be a little bit awkward, which is why I like to do it on the Smith machine. That way you can rack it and get yourself up. This is a little bit more tricky, but you get there. I don't have much weight, so I'm not going to injure myself. But yeah, as I was saying, a lot of people will go for squats, and for some women, invariably, it's really, really good to build up with, big glutes. But for me, I found that it does give me huge quads. So I'm just going to give you a few different exercises which are going to isolate your glutes a little bit more, put a bit more emphasis on them. Yeah, so we'll go on to our next set. Hi everyone, I thought I'd have a chat with you about what I've been up to lately. This last year I've been preparing for the Body Power Pro show, which I've recently done. Now, that was my highest placing in a pro show of any pro show I've competed in, so it was 3rd place. So that was really, really very good for me. Now, I've had a long journey leading up to that show. I'd had a 16-week preparation, but even prior to that, I'd spent a good year building up my glutes and hamstrings, which tends to be my weak area. So yeah, I've had 16 weeks of diet and training, which has been a long, long road. Okay, so for this exercise, if you're looking at, you want to build your glutes up, and even, to be fair, even when I'm competition training, I will still take it really, really heavy. As I said, it's a really large muscle group, so it can take a lot of weight. So if you can get a partner to help you with this exercise, you can probably pop a few plates on, 3 or 4 sets, 8 to 10, something around that amount. I also, do various other training techniques, but certainly if you're just, looking to build, keep your sets heavy, with adequate rest. Okay, I'm going to do my last set today. My diet has been Predominantly, I follow like a baseline diet, and then I will sort of drop my calories from there and switch to carb cycling. And that always works really, really well for me. If any of you have tried carb cycling, it does work well and keeps my body guessing, and I do tend to lose fat quite quickly. So as I say, I followed that for 16 weeks. The cardio and the training have been fairly constant. My training, I've kept it as heavy as I... This is just the awkward bit getting up. Right. Okay, so that's the glute bridge, or hip thrust, however you want to call it. As I said, there's variations of this exercise, so if you do have some weakness in your lower back, I would go on the Smith. And you would literally, if I turn my back to you, but you would literally just be off the bench and the bar would be resting on here. But sometimes it does depend what Smith machine you've got. This one, you can't take the bar down so low, so some Smith machines are better than others for this. And yeah, and you can just do it off the bench if you wish as well. Okay, so that's that exercise. On to the next exercise. My next tip is, if you do have lower back problems, I would stick to doing it on the Smith. It does alleviate some of the stress on your lower back. So that's just a good idea if you suffer lower back pain, and it works better for me that way. Okay, so we're on to the second exercise now. I'm going to show you, it's like a pull through with the rope for your glutes and your hamstrings. This, again, is quite an isolated exercise for the hamstrings and glutes. Targets the tie-in, which is here, which is often what women want to target. You can go fairly heavy on this exercise, although you have to be a little bit more wary of your balance. And also, the further you come away from here, the more stretch you're going to get in your hamstrings as well. Okay, so I'll show you the first set, and you can see what you think. But you're going to pull the bar through your legs. You're going to step away. Okay. Now, as I step away, I'm going to stretch back and pull up and squeeze your glutes. Through and squeeze. I've got a slight bend in my knees. Legs aren't fully extended. As you pull up, I'd squeeze for a second or two. Make sure you're really targeting the area. So in terms of my workout today, I took you through some exercises for your glutes, ones that I've been using in my preparation. I think I talked about earlier, in which I can't really rely on just doing heavy squats to build big glutes, which is what a lot of girls tend to stick to. For me, I would just have very large quads, which I'm at a point now where my quads are quite big and I don't need any more muscle on them. So for me, I've had to isolate my glutes a little bit more, and I've done a few more sort of interesting exercises in order to target them. So hence what I've been doing with you guys today. Okay, so that's that exercise done. I'll give you a couple of tips to be going along with. First one, the thing to remember is, whilst you can go really heavy on this exercise, the heavier the go, the further away you are from the bars, it can topple you. I was sort of tempted to demonstrate it, but I've been pulled back before by the weight, so just be wary of that. Another tip is, as you're pulling through, just make sure you are further enough away from the bar so you get an adequate stretch on your hamstrings. And as you pull through, really squeeze your glutes as you pull up. Just squeeze it for a couple of seconds before you go to the next rep. Okay? So now we're on to our next exercise. So that's the end of part one, and join me in part two for more of my workout and the posing.